Welcome to the Pick Truth podcast, where we read confessions that people send us or that we find online and rate them based on the level of heat.
A truth can range from a bell pepper to a Carolina Reaper.
All right, let's get started. Hey folks, this episode of The Truth may describe topics and or language that may be sensitive to some. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Dr. Vicky Harris, and I'm here with my co-host,
LaMont Hearn Jr.
All right, and so we're back for another episode. I know it's only been a week for you guys, but it feels like it's been a long time for me and LaMont.
Yeah, most definitely. It feels like it's been a minute for sure.
But we're going to get right back into it. And I have two. One of them is pretty small. I think it's very evil, but pretty small. And I have one that's a little bit more dubious, and it will be interesting to gauge your response on that one.
Okay. Yeah, I've got two. One of them I think is just kind of real messed up. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's gonna tend towards the spicier side, especially if you favor this group that I'm gonna mention in this story. And the other one's kind of light, but I still think it'll give us something interesting to talk about.
All right. So without further ado, I'll jump right into our first one. It's very short, and it reads:
Right.
When my best friend died and I cried, a family member told me to grow up and threatened to smash my stuff. 2 years later, someone in the family died and they cried. I then treated them the exact same way they treated me when my friend died. I told them crying isn't going to bring them back. Don't dwell on it and move on, in a cold, unempathetic tone. I told them if you keep crying, I'll abandon them and go home. I think in order for humans to learn, sometimes they need a taste of their own medicine. Petty.
Yo, that is savage as heck. I'm trying to avoid cussing. That's crazy. Okay, so I'll admit that's a lot. But I get it though. I get it. You're just returning the favor. But it's so savage. It's spicy. It's not like Reaper. It's not Thai chili. It's not that crazy. But I will definitely say it's jalapeno because the kickback is crazy. The kickback is definitely crazy. And I mean, I guess that's giving somebody their just desserts. So, at that point, it's fair.
See, I think this one is so bad, it's a Thai chili. And here's my rationale. Okay. You're intentionally being hurtful and mean. Like, your whole goal is to make them hurt in the way that they hurt you. And, you petty for that. Now, I wouldn't call it a Reaper. You should right. But I will say, I'm judging you because that was just mean. It was like intentionally a jerk move. Like, who does that though? Could you imagine you have a family member die and like somebody came up to you like, oh, get over it. Like, dang, it's dirty. Like, it hurts my feelings for them.
Yeah, no question. You know what? I think you might be right. It's a lot closer to a Thai chili. Like you said, I wouldn't go as far as a Reaper, because it is just inflicting pain because someone inflicted it on you, and one bad turn does not necessarily deserve another. I guess it's hard to read, context in a something you're reading, but for sure we can tell that they had malicious intent. There's no question. Like, it's inferred as very clearly, like there was malicious intent with that statement. And I mean, on one hand, the person on the other end of it, they came at someone wrong and that person responded in tow. But wow, I don't even think I could have been. Could you imagine being in the room?
You're right, because you're at the wake and somebody's crying and you overhear someone else saying to someone like, get over it, don't dwell on it. Like that would be like, I would look at them like, whoa, player, that's just see, that's how you start fighting. That might, when your emotions are high, sometimes people get, a little belligerent. I don't know how I would have, well, I probably wouldn't have done it in the first place to tell somebody to get over it. And be unsympathetic to them. But the paybacks are BI. That's just cruel. It's
Let me tell you, if that happened and we were at 80 Porter down there in the West End, I'd have walked over to McDonald's out of Central. I couldn't have done, because that's a lot. So no, that's heavy. I don't think I could do that. That's a level, like I pride myself on having a pettiness to me. And that's a level of pettiness I can't go to. And I think our whole crew does. Like, I think we all have certain levels of petty that we're willing to go. But as far as playing around with death and stuff like that, loss of life, I can't play that far, because I don't think you can really come back from that one.
Yeah. So. There's no do-over. So yeah, very interesting. Okay, so that was my first one. What do you got for this week?
All right, so my first one is I vandalized the church with two friends when I was in high school. So the story goes, so my friends and I were really big goody two-shoes. We never broke rules, and I think that's what brought on this behavior. We were walking one evening, and one of my friends happens to have spray paint that we were planning to use to make these picture frames look new. Well, we started spraying on things here and there. Then we came across a church that was empty at the time. So basically, we sprayed curse words about Jesus on the windows. Wasn't my proudest moment, but we just couldn't help ourselves and they got carried away. The church was covered, but nobody ever knew but us three.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I know that one would make this one a higher heat because it's a church. I just think it's this one's, it's a reaper. Because there are some people that churches are a sacred, holy place for them. It's no different than a synagogue or a mosque. And if you tell me that you vandalized a synagogue or a mosque, I would think it's a hate crime almost, So you're vandalizing someone's worship service, a place where they worship, and they ain't messing with you. They're not messing with you. They don't care nothing about you. That's a reaper. Don't tell nobody else you did that. Y'all three keep that to yourself. Because, that's just terrible. It's absolutely terrible to, and then what Jesus do to you? Why you mad at Jesus? Why you got to cuss Jesus out? Why you got to put profane things about Jesus on the window? Like, he ain't done nothing to you. He just trying to, die for your sins. Like, I'm just saying. Like, and we were really good. What was that? Like, and it's funny that I'm walking around with spray paint to paint some picture frames, but I end up, painting sacrilegious statements on a church walkway. Like, why?
Absolutely. The spectrum between those two situations, like you said, picture frames to basically demeaning and defacing a church and Jesus Christ. And it's not even to make it, about a specific religion, like you said, whether it was a synagogue, a mosque, or whatever, just to go from such a timid activity, such as just painting picture frames, to going to that level, like, yeah, man, that's pretty reaper heavy. And, I don't say that solely because, I'm growing up in a Christian, background, but just in general, I would feel the same way, whether it was Jewish or anywhere else. It's just a lot to feel you could somehow, it's kind of like you see people do that hive mind issue where you'll see somebody, I guess, getting made fun of and other kids join in, or if you see someone fighting, someone else jumps in and you go, how do you have a lapse of judgment that leads you there? Now, of course, we don't know the age of this person. There's a lot of details there, and I know sometimes we tend to err on the side of caution with vilifying and villainizing children for making bad decisions. But I would hope that if this person was older, that they get help. And if they're younger, I hope that it was something that they have worked through, that they're not actively feeling like that's a thing to do anymore. Because I just started imagining this and I don't assume they were, but I just imagine them being in their 30s. And after all the sports and things I've done, these knees wouldn't allow me to have ran away fast enough. I would have been parked somewhere, relaxing, trying to get some icy hot on my joints, because I don't know. That's a lot. It just seems like it's a whole lot to that move. So I agree with you.
Yeah, that's pretty up there. And I wonder, so folks, what do you think? Send us an email at picktruthmail@post.com and tell us what you think. Is that a reaper? Is vandalizing a church a reaper, or is it that we're making much to do about nothing?
Right.
All right. So my next,
what you got next?
It's pretty long. It's a long and windy one, but yeah. So I'm gonna. It's long, so I'm gonna go right into it. But I will say, I guess I'm not going right into it. This was crazy. And so for those who are listening, I am just reading the confession. I am reading the truth. This is not me. I'm putting all the stuff they put in here just so that you can get context. Okay. All right. The title of this truth is, I called social services on my cousin and I feel terrible. My cousin, 27, female to male, Keith, is not a well-adjusted adult. His mother was sent to prison when he was a youth, since released, and he was raised by my great aunt, Jane. Now, in a small, rural southern town, he came out in high school, met Amber, a 27-year-old female, about 7 years ago. They were married soon after, and he began transitioning about a year ago. I say he is not a well-adjusted adult, not because of any of this, but as he has never been responsible, is very aggressive, and has struggled with prescription drug addiction. Now, Keith and Amber's relationship has always been on and off again and very toxic. Neither have ever maintained a job nor a place of their own. For some reason, a few years ago, they decided that Amber should have a baby. This was very unofficial, and I'm not positive of the details, but everyone jokes that it was a turkey baster baby. Keith and Amber moved around a bit, split up several times, then all moved back in with Jane, and this is when I started to hear more about the baby. The baby, Kenzie, is almost 3. When they were living with Jane, she began noticing they didn't really do much to care for her. Jane took total control and looked after Kenzie. About 6 months ago, Keith and Amber and Kenzie moved into a trailer on Jane's property. When Jane would stop by, she was shocked by the conditions they were living in. The trailer has a wood-burning stove as the only source of heat. Both Amber and Keith are too lazy to keep a fire going, so no heat. Amber and Keith both sleep until 3 p.m. each day, never getting up to check on Kenzie, and she is left in her crib, sometimes with a wet pamper. She is not potty trained and is still in Pampers. There's no food in the home, and neither regularly cook nor feed Kenzie. They have 2 dogs in the home, and they are underfed and covered in fleas. The dogs are not taken out regularly and urinate and defecate in the floor of the trailer. Kenzie is also covered in flea bites. The last straw for me was when Jane stopped by and Kenzie was running through the trailer barefoot with dog excrement with no heat. Amber and Keith had thrown a block of cheese in the floor for the dogs, and Kenzie was in the floor with the dogs eating the cheese. I called child services to report neglect. It seemed no one else in my family was going to do so. DCS stopped by unannounced yesterday, and I'm unsure of what happened. I do know that Keith and Amber are only focused on who called DCS and believe it was Keith's mom. They are planning on filing a false police report against Keith's mom, saying that she broke into their trailer so she can get sent back to prison as retribution. I'm not planning to admit that I was the one to call DCS. I feel absolutely terrible and do not want to see someone go back to jail for a false police report. I also feel so terrible for Kenzie and for their neglected dogs. I don't want them to lose custody of Kenzie, but I hope they receive the help, resources, and a wake-up call to start acting like parents. I'm not sure what else I can do at this point.
Listen, so that was like a roller coaster, right? Initially, the person telling, I was gonna say it wasn't extremely high until we got to the end. The story about the cousins and all that stuff, Reaper off the jump. The deal with, you said Kenzie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the baby's name Kenzie?
Yes,
yeah.
Kenzie.
The cousin, as far as Kenzie and how they're dealing with the child and their dog, that is a Reaper, that is a Beyond Reaper, that is called CPS 911, the A team, whoever you can find, literally. Like, that's absolutely crazy. However, once we got to the end and the mother is getting, the mother-in-law, right?
The mother. So I think Keith's biological mother is being blamed for calling Child Protective Services.
Right. Okay, cool. Just making sure I'm on the same page. Yeah. So looking at it from that point of view, the fact that this person could be going down for something that it's kind of like almost like your first story where malicious intent is being used because one person feels hurt, so they're hurting another person. And this person who's telling us the story is actually the person who has caused the secondary person to be hurt. They didn't do it to Kenzie, and they didn't do it to their cousin Keith, who transitioned and all that, which is fine. So I don't blame for telling CPS on them. But I do feel like that person, I would wish that person would take responsibility so that Keith's biological mother doesn't get all of the potential issues that are coming their way. So that's definitely, the whole thing is just a Reaper. This is just us. This is so spicy. So I don't know. This is just crazy. This is one of the few times I'll admit, I know we're on episode 10, but I'm actually taken aback. Like, I can't make jokes.
Yeah, this one's pretty horrible. It's terrible to imagine that children are treated that way. You know how I just can't. I cannot. It resonated with me because I'm like, you didn't do anything wrong reporting them. Like, matter of fact, you might get a Heroes Award for reporting them. But I think this is a classic issue that families have, protecting other family members when you know you shouldn't. You know, this cousin should not have been the only person to have called CPS or Child Protective Services or DCS, whatever you call it in your neighborhood. That cousin shouldn't have been the only one. Right. You got a baby, a 3-year-old child, still in a diaper, and maybe there's some medical conditions. Let's just say we don't know that. But we do darn sure know that throwing a block of cheese and watching your 3-year-old go get the cheese with the dog is disgusting. It's unimaginable treatment. And no one deserves to be treated that way at all. And so, for real, Keith and Amber can burn in hell. Like,
absolutely.
That amount of abuse, y'all can go to hell. The way that poor Kenzie is growing up, and I think at age 3, her personality is shaped, and it's already shaped in abandonment and abuse. And it's torturous. If you want to live your life like a piece of trash, and you go live your life like a piece of trash, but don't have children and drag them along with you. And don't do it's my baby, I love them. You know what? If you can't support your child the way you need to, give them away. I know that sounds terrible. And I know foster system isn't great, but don't do that to a kid. Don't do that. Like, it's just, So, okay. The person reporting the story, absolutely, I'll give you a bell pepper. And if we could think of an award, I would give you a Good Citizen Award. Good for you. I don't know if I would tell anyone it was me, because if this is the kind of lifestyle they're living, I might not want to mess with the wrath. I might not want to deal with it. But to your point, this cousin knows that someone else that she's responsible for it. So she might want to go ahead and drop a dime to the police, like, hey, they're going to do a false police report. I don't know. I mean, let's snitch it all the way out. But then, but to your point, just tell them it was you. Well, they're trash. I mean, like it was me, but they might have a vendetta after him. They might, you know what I'm saying? They don't have nothing to lose. I don't mess with people that have nothing to lose. If you can wow out and I can't mess with you. I don't fight. I call police. I get restraining orders. I don't fight. I'm not doing that. These people look like they would tear up some stuff. So anyway, that was my my second one, and it's pretty out there. It's terrible, and I hope it's wrong. Like I hope it's
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we can maybe get a follow up. I mean, my only catch with it, like I said, it's just the fact that the mother is going to go down for this in a way that, you know, it just kind of sucks. But like you said, to the same point, I don't know if these are people you really want to mess with. So I can't say that you're wrong in that position. I feel like I would probably want to keep my mouth shut too, but I would also hate to have this person that I also care for, what I believe is their aunt, go through whatever's coming their way just because these people have this wrath. But I can only imagine what they would do to me in tow, because now not only have I called, you know, protective services on them, I've also got them to put their mother in a bad position. So they might do something even more crazy now. So you kind of have compiled your potential drama. So it might be better to just keep it moving and keep your mouth shut. So
it's so sad. My heart breaks for her. My heart breaks for Kenzie, breaks for the dogs. It breaks for anyone who grew up like this or is currently in this type of situation. I probably don't have a polite thing to say. So, that was just terrible. That's a terrible confession. I'm glad you said something and did something for that baby, but it's terrible.
It's terrible. Still just, it's crazy.
Terrible.
Yeah.
All right, you got another one for this week?
Well, I mean, after that one, mine it comes across so bland, I must admit, but you know, it's the format of the show.
I was going to say, we need to lighten it up a little bit, so hopefully.
I'll admit, this was extremely basic, but I mean, it follows one of our mantras. So this one is titled, I Steal Drinks from the Local Grocery Stores. It's pretty short, but it says, if I want one, I'll take a drink, walk around with it a bit, and just open it and drink it. I know it's bold, and no one's ever been the wiser. I feel like a piece of crap for it, but also, oh well. So like I said, kind of cut and dry.
So we have somebody walking around stealing drinks. And you can always say I was going to pay for it when I got to the register. You know, I was just going to pay for it when I got to the register. And no one would be the wiser. I don't know. From a heat level, it's maybe a Poblano.
Okay.
But I don't know why. Yeah, it's still theft. Like, you're still stealing. Stop stealing everything. Still theft.
Right.
But then again, he's proud of his theft. You know, he's proud of it. And what happens if a grocery store finally catches on and watches 20 times he's been in the store stealing drinks, and they're just keeping a tab up? Yep, we're going to get him later when it adds up.
I'm just saying, if PepsiCo and Coca-Cola show up at his doorstep waiting to collect their funds, they might have a problem on his hands. They got big money.
So yeah, I would put this one probably a Poblano. It's a little spicy, not too spicy, but I wouldn't do it. First of all, listen, we said this a couple of episodes back. I'm Black. I can't just go in the store drinking. I wouldn't go in the store drinking it and knowing that I was going to pay for it. Not the kid.
Yeah.
No.
That's a wrap.
I got too much to live for. I ain't gonna die over some stupid drink because somebody want to call police on me because I'm the wrong you.
Hey, big facts. Man, listen, I hate going to the store to buy stuff that I know I'm about to buy sealed sometimes, let alone it being open. So that's not the move, you know, to whoever this person is. like you said, they kind of have a no cares given response to it, and to each its own. But you better than me, or you crazier than me, I guess, because I'm good. I need mine sealed. If you want to put some cellophane around it, if y'all need to, when I walk around, I'm cool, bro. I'll open it when I get into my home. I don't even open it in your parking lot.
I didn't steal that. I didn't steal it at all. Stop.
Clenching my receipt the whole time.
Ah, man, I hold on my receipt like it's the ticket to heaven. Like,
I'm trying to tell you.
And it's interesting. We've seen people who like get stopped at Walmart and they get angry and belligerent because someone wants to see their receipt. And I'm just always prepared for it. Like, I'm always prepared. Like, I can be stopped at any time. Here's my receipt. I'm not mad. I'm not going to be embarrassed. But that's just me because I don't steal. Like, look, just go ahead. Look at that. I don't want to have be a meme, be on, a viral video because I'm going off because someone wants to search my bag. But I would know there are people of my hue that would disagree with me. I just don't have that much effort. I can't give that much effort. Now, I've never been stopped also. Never been stopped. I do, like I said, the poker hands, like my hands are free. I don't, I don't steal just because that's just too much work. But I don't know. People get in their feelings when they get stopped. People get in their feelings and then, and I think it's like, how dare you accuse me of stealing? Well, they don't know you.
Right, like you're making it personal.
Right. And the way that we read these confessions, I don't trust nobody anymore. Like, I don't know what's going on in anybody's head. I'm walking around like la-da-da in this beautiful world, and some of y'all are trash.
Feeding people out of trash, like y'all wilding, doing the most. Like
feeding people trash. Man, that again, that's still an expletive to me. F you for feeding me food. And if you don't know what we're talking about, go back a couple of episodes, this freaking episode, and don't ever listen. LaMont has eaten in my home. I have eaten in Lamont's home. We have had potlucks and everything. If I ever found out that I don't know, salad was rubbish with some rotten tomatoes in it or whatever, I'm going to be pissed. I am going to be pissed. And you should be pissed at
me. Absolutely. But I know how the crew works. You know good and well, not, we don't really get into our family business too much, but you know good and well with your husband and my wife. No, you know how they are. There'd be no way. They too uppity. There's no way.
No, I'm too uppity.
Facts. I was trying to put it on them. I was trying to put it on them like it's their fault. But no, you're right.
I wish I couldn't. And how do you? And you know what? Okay, I know this is not even this episode. Sorry, guys, but if you haven't listened to that episode, you're gonna have to go back and listen to it. I'm still on. How do you do that? How do you just betray someone's trust like that? And I know I'm a weird person with weird philosophies and ideologies. I'm good. I get that I'm weird, but messing with people's food and not telling them like I can't do it. That one's a tough one. That's a tough one for me. Don't feed vegan people meat. Don't feed carnivores vegan food. Just tell people what they're getting and let them decide. It's not for you. It's good. You just taste it and just lie. Don't lie. Let them decide. It's their body. It's their choice. Let them decide if they want to eat from the garbage or not.
It's just the way you said it. Have you seen TLC, the TV station TLC had a show called Cheapskates? And there was a lady on there who she would get food from the dumpster. She wasn't poor. She had a very high-paying job. I mean, I believe she was making six figures, but she just felt like we waste so much food. In the original showing of it, they showed her having friends over and she basically gave them food, and the food was from the trash, from like local restaurants and things like that. Obviously, when I first saw it, this is years ago, I was completely disgusted. And I mean, I still am. I'm still not eating enough trash. That's a non-starter. But they had her, she did like a follow-up interview, like separate from the show. And she said, this is kind of the thing with reality TV is, it is based in reality, but they of course asked us to like turn it up several notches from what it normally is. But I flashed back from what that was, and it just completely, threw me off to even see it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know we got way off track. We were all talking. What were we talking about? What was the truth? It was my brain went.
It was it's okay. It was about the person stealing the drinks. Yeah.
That was a far off tangent from the person stealing the drink. Good Lord, have mercy. And I wonder what drink they were. I wonder what they drank. Like, I wonder if they get an Arizona sweet tea and just walk around the store, get a water.
Arizona, that's so low, but it's 99 cents. Like, make it worth your while. Make it an aloe vera water. Make it even a Snapple. Like, because a Snapple apple hits hard in the right time.
My favorite water. I'm a water snob. People, I don't care. Fiji water is my favorite, and it does taste different. It does not taste the same. So still a Fiji water. That might be about high. What's that called? When you steal a large sum of money, grand larceny.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's expensive for no reason. But it's so yummy. It's just so yummy.
Yeah, I'll admit they do taste different. There is a difference to those waters between Fiji. What is the other one? Like Voss water.
So a little insight. LaMont and his family are rich. They drink water. I went over there one day and I was like, I have something to drink. And I'm thinking I'm going to get some tap water, which is perfectly fine. His wife came out with this beautiful bottle of Voss water. I was like, oh, is that what you give company? Oh, because we had the good stuff. Like, we don't put that Fiji water out. Let's put that in the deep back freezer. I was like, oh, that's fancy. I was in luxury at their house. Like, you're getting tap water over here. You're getting Louisville tap, and it's delicious. Delicious Louisville tap.
No, y'all got the filter fridge.
We do,
fridge.
But that filter.
Yeah, we followed up behind y'all.
That day, that filter needs to change. It said it's 99 days. Sorry. Listen, it's not an important thing. Every time I see it, I say, we need to order a filter. And then I walk away and I don't remember again till I get water and I say, we need to order a filter. I remember right now, we're going to finish this podcast and guess what? We're not going to order a filter. So,
oh my gosh,
just 99 days, 99 problems, and a filter ain't one.
So,
oh man! But I think that wraps up this episode. If you like today's show, help us out. Subscribe and send the show to two friends you think may laugh or have a good time listening to this. And if you've not already, join our Facebook group, Pick Truth, and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to get updates and additional content.
Oh, yeah. And if you have Apple Podcasts, please don't forget to rate and review us on there or any other podcast site that you use. That definitely helps us out and gives us more attention. And hopefully we can get advertisers in the future so we can make this thing even bigger and better for you.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you guys. We will catch you next time.
Later. We can't pick truth without you.
Send us your truths at picktruthmail@post.com to see if you can bring the heat.